Podcast Network. Let's go. All we do is win, except on the football field. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. Gentlemen, it's not even the prettiest game, but they dump trucked Marquette. This is still a rivalry game.
The level of accuracy, by the way, of that comment.
Say what? Badgers win 96-76. Let's play the happy guy. Get up on that line. Let's talk about big picture. John Blackwell. We got a lot to talk about, including some things in this game that I thought were the Badgers need to clean up. But let's talk about it. We'll start here.
This is awesome. It's a good day for me. Come on in here, buddy. Get up on that line.
Okay, let's start here. Rajiv, big picture takeaways. That's where we always start. Where are you at right after the game?
Big picture takeaways is that we saw a complete game, first half, second half, which I think was fantastic. We grew throughout the game, but let's never underestimate the importance of a rivalry win, right? Marquette's a rival. This is great. We don't seem to get that on the football side, and this is awesome. Just a really good kind of complete performance. There's little things you can nitpick here and there, but I've been talking for weeks now about the sort of Boyd, Blackwell, two guys out there at the same time. I think tonight was a really good example of how those guys can play together. Some good passing between them. When Blackwell was out with 3 fouls early in the second half, Boyd's like, all right, I'll take over offensively. Blackwell's just finding himself more open than he was because of what Boyd's doing. This is a really good sign when you can play this well. I just think it's great. You know, you got that Big Ten win. You got another one coming next week. So big picture, like if we can be 2-0 in conference and have the Marquette win, it really sets us up nicely. We have to start beating teams that are not that great. Marquette's not a great team, but you know what? We beat the crap out of them. That's what you need to do, right? We said the same thing the other night against Northwestern. You just got to beat these teams. They're growing as a team, which is fantastic. Last thing I'll say before we do anything else, shout out to the women's volleyball team, which is already advancing in the Big Ten and in the NCAA tournament. Awesome couple wins. Like we don't talk about them enough. Hell yes, volleyball team, go get a championship.
Hell yeah, that's a great call out. Justin, big picture on this game here.
Yeah, to me, this is just we're seeing some growth from this team. They're handling their business where they need to, and hopefully, this is where it's something that carries over into the games against tougher opponents. This is a game that could have been sloppier and could have ended up being a 10-point win. Instead, they handled their business. They ran away in the second half, and they kept that lead. My player that I want to talk about right now is Bielauskas. You know, he's my guy. 11-10, 4 of 4 in this game.
He was good.
If that's what you're going to get defensively, he is a big step up from Rapp in the post. And if he can provide some level of scoring, this offense gets really, really scary to a lot of teams because I really like him on the defensive end in terms of physicality and his ability to rebound.
Yeah,
he's obviously still a freshman, but
he's still learning. He was good tonight though. He's one of the guys I highlighted in my box score here. He had, like you said, double, shot well, 4-4. He's not always going to shoot 4-4, but I like that he's taking the shots that are there. I do want to. Has anyone ever seen that free throw?
Oh, sorry, I took that comment down.
No, it's fine. I don't think I've ever seen somebody lose the ball in that situation to have it get counted. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I know it's hilarious. Like when I shoot free throws, I would spin it too, but you just catch it every time. How you drop it?
there was like a 3-play sequence really quick where, listen, Marquette's not good. Everything Rajiv said, I agree with. You got to bury bad teams. That's what the Badgers did. We're going to talk about it more. They're not good, though. There was a moment in this game where they were like the Washington Generals. They had that free throw thing, and then you had Jones come down the corner. He just fell over, like dribbling. Like there were moments in this game where like, my goodness, Marquette has fallen off. That was one of my first thoughts here. The second one is this team, man, it still feels to me like there's another gear here that we still just can't quite find, right? I thought they played pretty well today. But, man, if they could share the ball a little more on offense, they still get a little too isolation heavy for my take. You get 15 assists, 12 turnovers. My takeaway from this game isn't negative because they won by 20 points against a rival. But my takeaway is there is a ceiling here for this team yet to unlock. Because once they start really sharing the ball a little bit more, finding consistent, better shots, again, 15 assists and 12 turnovers, there's another gear there for them. So that's kind of my takeaway.
Don't you agree that that's getting better though, Ryan? Like you're seeing improvements in that area, or are you seeing that? Because I feel like I'm seeing that. I feel like you're right. The ceiling is still there, but I feel like we're taking steps towards that ceiling.
I haven't seen that as much. So I just still think they don't share the ball enough. I still think there is far too many possessions, even when they end in good looks, where it's just Blackwell kind of isolating or Boyd isolating, or they have one pass and they shoot a three. I think there is a layer in this offense that when they start kicking the ball side to side, they're going to unlock a whole bunch of stuff. And I think they're going to. I think it's going to get there. But it's just not consistent yet. And I think that's been the issue the entire year, is the consistency on offense, the consistency in looks.
I think the more Rhodey, sorry, Justin, real quick point. I think the more Rhodey touches the ball, the more that will improve. Like he's such a good passer, and I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. I just feel like
17 tonight.
That's how you kind of unlock that. But I think they're doing it more. So I feel like they're taking little steps, but your point is well taken. Sorry, Justin.
Oh, no problem. Well, I agree with you, Ryan. I think that this team is growing. Like it's going to be a process throughout this season. There's so many new bodies on it. Honestly, we should probably be excited about the fact that they're playing as well as they are to start this season, given how many new bodies are on this team. This could be a really starts and fits kind of team, or fits and starts kind of team, where they're just kind of all over the place in games. We have that at times. Like I felt like the last game against Northwestern ended that way, where we were on track to score like 100 points, and then suddenly it just fell off a cliff to end that game. But those are kind of like the limited situations, not the bulk of what we see from this team. So for the most part, this team goes out and handles its business. Now, it'll be interesting to see if they can get better against the teams that really start to blitz them defensively, because that's going to ultimately decide what the ceiling of this team is. But I think that if you are going to let them run their stuff, they're going to carve you up. Like you're going to have to score with them if you're not going to be ultra aggressive defensively.
I think when they want to run their stuff, they're going to carve you up. There are times where it just feels like they lock into individual scoring, and it makes it easier on opposing defenses. There's so many weapons on this team that can shoot the ball that when they don't make a concerted effort to stress the defense, I think we let teams off the hook a little bit. And I would like to see us improve there.
It's also still only the 10th or 11th game this group has played together. So midway through the Big Ten season, this could be a team that's firing on all cylinders. There's obviously issues for sure, right? But it's nice to see.
Let's talk player of the game. I think most of us are going to go Blackwell in here, but Justin, we'll start with you. What did you see from, or if it's not Blackwell, let me know, but what did you see from Blackwell? Who's your player of the game?
Yeah, to me, it is Blackwell. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy that we've gotten to the point where there are multiple guys that on a per game basis, you can say this guy had a great game. I mean, you can look at this game and say Winter had a great game. He got another double-double. You can look at it and say Rhodey, he finally got the scoring together in this game. But when it comes down to it, the scariest player on this team is Blackwell. When he's clicking, he can go off for bursts of points more than anybody on this team, and it's not close. He can drop 12 points on somebody in like a 5-minute span.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it's Blackwell. And the one thing I would say about him is that we talked about early in the season how it was going to go slow. He wasn't really engaging as much in some of those early games, and you can see that. And I had said that I think every game you see him, he's going to grow more and more into it. And I feel like he's doing that. He's taking more control of the team, and that's great. I'm just going to give a shout out to Andrew Rhodey. I just feel like the 3 turnovers, not so great, but the man had 4 steals, by the way.
They're
4 steals. Like he was just everywhere. And like little things, like, you know, he catches the ball in the paint. And he knows the body control he has to fend off a defender and get an easy layup. And the way that he reads the game so well. I even think that little he tried to do an alley-oop to Winter. I think had Winter been looking for it, he would have actually seen it. Like he's just a step ahead. And that mentality he's playing with, like he's also gaining more confidence. And I said that after the Northwestern game, if he's confident and he can shoot that 3 and pass, facilitate, and be a good defender, you couple that with Boyd, Blackwell, Winter, it's like that's where things can really start to improve. So just yet another great game for Andrew Rhodey. Definitely Blackwell player of the game, but honorable mention to Andrew Rhodey. Yeah,
we're going Blackwell for me as well. I'm going to mention Beals. I'll say AB. So Blackwell's the player of the game. Efficient scoring. He's aggressive from the jump. By the way, Blackwell very much strikes me as the type of guy where in a rivalry game, in certain Big Ten games, he's going to be better. Like you can feel he kind of feeds off the intensity of the moments, and not
top level team in general.
Not that you should be bored in other spots, but you can feel he kind of rises to the occasion a little bit. He's kind of that type of guy. But you hit it, Justin Beals. And one of the things I was going to talk about is obviously they made the lineup switch. They went to AB over Austin Rapp. That 4 spot for this team is critical. because that 4 spot to some degree is going to determine how good this team can be. Because I think we know what we have in Winter, Rhodey, Boyd, and Blackwell. That 4 can't be a black hole. That 4 has to give you some physicality, some rebounding, and some open shooting. When it's open, hit the shot. If Beals can do that, a version of this the rest of the year, guys, that's going to be huge for this team to get consistency there. Because quite frankly, Rapp hasn't been as good as we thought he would be. And that's
offensively, he's been solid, but defensively, man, he leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah. Well, and Beals too. Beals struggles defensively on the perimeter still. So you still see that from him.
He's got good positioning and understanding of where his man is when he's in the post or in the lane. But yeah, when he gets flushed out to the perimeter, he tends to struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just nice to be able to have Bilyaskis like in there so he got Winter plays 4, Bilyaskis can play 5. Like if he's good, now we just got that much more depth and bench points. We got a little bit of bench points, which is nice. And that's the good thing about the lineup change.
Well, and credit to Greg Gard, right? Another portal find. Like he's really good there. Greg Gard. Imagine what Greg Gard would do if he had Dukes or Arizona's or BYU's.
Portal find, man. He was a pickup from Europe.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like Gard would cook if he had the resources, NIL resources, some of the big basketball schools. I think that's very fair to say. All right, let's take a quick second here. We're going to come back. What went right? What went wrong? We do have to talk about a few things out of this game that I think were a little troubling. We'll do that next on Locked On Badgers. Get your takes. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. We all know that. I mean, life moves fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. So a big play, a big drive, a big quarterback moment, a scoop and score, whatever it is, every highlight moment, FanDuel lets you get in on that. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. So the live spreads and the money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as people heat up or maybe they cool off. Whatever it is, you can get into those moments and into those actions. So you're doing more than just watching the game. You're interacting with it. You're in those moments. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll try to start some comments too. Again, we don't have Mike behind the mic here, which...
Can I throw out a comment here quick?
Sure, you can do whatever you want, yeah.
Because what I will say is, I know we're talking about the resources he doesn't have. What I do think a team like this does is it shows... people who might want to, the people who are donors, this is the type of team where you look at it and people are like, okay, I can trust him to find quality. If I give him more money, how much better does it get? Because we've talked about this in the past. The basketball before the last couple of years was difficult. It was inconsistent. It was a struggle. I mean, he still had pretty good teams, but they were not capable of this type of ceiling. And I think what you're seeing is with the moves that have been made, he's now creating a type of style of basketball on the court that is pleasing to the eye. And it's something that as a donor, if you're looking at it, you're like, all right, I think we have another level we can go up here. If I give some, we can maybe grab a guy or two here that really, bumps the ceiling of this team from being like a potential Sweet 16 team to being like an Elite 8 type team or whatever. Wisconsin's not that far off. Like they're legitimately grabbing one big guy away from being able to probably jump up into that Elite 8 kind of area.
Yeah, if you could add, to your point, if you could add each portal off season, whether it's through recruiting or the portal, whatever it is, if you could add one more dynamic guy to each class, like this team with another dynamic wing scorer off the bench, Justin, it changes the dynamic of what we are. The one thing I would say is I think pleasing to the eye is a really interesting point and comment. I think it's more important now than ever in the portal era, because I think previously with high school recruiting, you could get guys that fit your system, you would develop them, and pleasing on the eye didn't matter as much. You don't have as much time to develop guys anymore in the portal. You got to get guys that want to come in and play right away. And the guys that want to do that, they want to go up and down the court. Players want to shoot threes. They want to run. They don't want to play 30 seconds of defense. I think it makes it easier in the portal era, which I think you're dead on.
Sure. So it's one of those things that I look at with regards to this, and you kind of get the sense that the big teams are doing that. They're understanding it. But the way I look at it is with the way roster composition happens now, it's not like football where you're constantly bringing in, where you have to keep shoveling out this money. Basketball, the roster has less turnover from the standpoint of you're normally looking for 3 or 4 guys. Some guys, you might have years where it gets a little beyond that, but it's because guys end up aging out and are gone to overseas or whatever. It's not like football where you're probably going to have to come up with money for potentially 10 different guys to be good. Basketball, you can truly focus on getting like 3 really important guys and then kind of fill in around that with guys. Because I think you'd agree with me, the difference between a guy who's like a 300K guy and a guy who's like a 100K guy probably isn't ultra significant in terms of overall, ability level or what they give in terms of on the court. Like there might be a slight level of uptick in athleticism or whatever, but those secondary guys on your team, even with the better teams, there's not a substantial difference from team to team with those guys. It might be a little pettier, a guy who's a little bit more court smart, but I just don't think that you have to spend as much the depth. It's those top guys that have to be good, really good.
Yeah, which they've done a good job of adding. You look at the portal class this year, Boyd seems like a hit. Seems like a hit. I still think Rapp will be a hit. Rhodey's definitely a hit. He's done great. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about going back to this game here. Thoughts on what went wrong. So a lot went right. We talked about it. For me, it's the transition defense. Is that rough at times. And Marquette's really good there. So Marquette gets downhill. That's their. If you look at our primary break and our secondary break, a lot of our secondary break guys, we go into a high pick and roll and we try to get shooters in the corners. Marquette just gets downhill. And when you get downhill, you collapse the defense. People collapse on you, and there's a lot of open shooters. But there's a lot of Wisconsin just didn't stop the ball. You got to sprint back and you got to stop ball. And then there's a lot of, if you go back and watch it, I'm not trying to nitpick guys, but there's a lot of guys kind of jogging defensively back. You got to sprint back to find shooters. Transition defense, to me, 50 to 60% of the open looks Marquette got, it was just off transition offense. And a lot of that's just hustle and energy. Again, I'm not trying to kill anybody. Transition was tough for me.
That's the biggest difference between Bo Ryan and guard in terms of like when you watch them coach and what was on the court is the fact that Bo was really hardcore about that. You would get pulled from the game if you didn't get back on defense. Guard lets guys play a little bit in that regard a little bit more. At times, we probably could tighten up on that a little bit and kind of hit guys with it a little bit more because that's the type of thing where you can't have a bad game with that come March because that's where the season ends if you just have guys developing bad habits like that.
I agree with you to an extent as far as like their transition defense could be better. And I know that you've talked about like developing bad habits and those things, but one of the things that we talked about in the last show was that they developed the bad habit of kind of letting it slide in the second half. They cleaned that up today. Mm-hmm. They got strong in the second half. They kept it up. I think there's always going to be something, as you even said, Ryan, like when you play this fast, you play this hard, you're going to give up something. And when you're up 20 most of the game, like I'm not really going to be that bothered by it. Yes, it's a bad habit. And yes, it needs to be cleaned up. But what this team has showed me over and over is that like, when they need to tighten up on something, they do. They're learning, they're getting better, they're growing. If it continues into the Big Ten season, I would agree. But honestly, I'm not too bothered by the transition defense. It is an issue, but this team also is scoring at a high clip. They defended better in the half court than I think they have in recent times, and I want to call that out. And crashing the boards from the perimeter. So I'm not as bothered by that.
I thought the half-court defense was better today. I think you're dead on with that. I thought the pick-and-roll navigation, they were switching pretty well. A couple times getting beat on the perimeter. Blackwell, Rapp, and Bialuskas all were, but Blackwell had 3 fouls at that point, so don't crush him for that. You don't want a 4th foul. Yeah, I agree. And when I say transition defense, I don't expect Bo Ryan levels of transition defense because you're sprinting the other way. And if you're getting a fast break game back and forth, you're going to give up more transition shots because the rebounds are longer, right? Yeah. Long rebounds lead to breakouts. So it is what it is. But it has to be a little better than this when you play the better teams, is where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with that. It needs to be better. There's no doubt it needs to be better, but I think it will improve.
Anything else? Any player that you were hoping to see a little more from today? So we did player of the games.
Yeah, for me, it's Austin Rapp. I mean, listen, in the second half, I know he scored a little bit. I think he ended up getting, I don't know, maybe 7 points. But I thought in the first half, he just looked like he wasn't playing with the energy that he needed to play with. He got the first 2 fouls were just silly fouls. The third or fourth one, I think he got, it was like a little bit light, but I just think that he's coming off the bench, but he needs to be able to inject energy off the bench. And I thought when he came in there, he just looked a little flat. And yeah, the second half, he did a little better, but if he's going to be, if we're going to have the depth, the depth in the front court that we think we have, and maybe we're a little unexpected, he's got to provide more energy, especially coming off the bench. And I just thought it was a little bit down on him today.
Yeah, I would say he's the one guy that I look at and that you kind of say it's an effort thing at times. I feel like it's there on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like on the defensive side of the ball, he has some lazy habits. He's kind of a chucker a little bit, and he's also a guy who has a lot of mental lapses on the defensive side, where he kind of lets his guard down. He's not as locked in as he needs to be. He absolutely needs to kind of lock in, and that's the thing. I think he's a guy I would really like to see let his defense lead to his offense, where it's like, go out there, you can score, just really go out there and say, I'm going to give 5 minutes of really good defense here. And then you'll get your offense when the opportunities are there. So if he could do that, it would be huge. Like that's the goal that should be there for him in the second half of the season is learn and grow there. Because number one, it will probably get him back on the court as a starter. And number two, you really need him to be a guy who can at least be average defensively. Like, I don't think he's got much beyond that in terms of his capabilities, but he needs to at least be able to be, hey, I'm in the right spot at the right time.
I'm going to give you the guy that I wanted to see more from today. And I think you guys both might disagree with me. To me, it was Nick Boyd. And I think this is reflective of the standards and the expectations we have for certain guys. Nick Boyd, I think, is a star caliber point guard in the Big Ten. I just continue to go back to the assist to turnover stuff. I think 4 assists to 4 turnovers. I think there's still moments in games, man, where he's so quick and he's so competitive. By the way, I love the intangibles of Boyd. I love getting the crowd fired up. Like, I love it, but I wish there were still a few more moments you'd get in the paint and set up some of our great shooters for easier looks. Like, I want Rhodey to get more shots, quite frankly. I want Bielewskis to. I would like Winter to get a couple more open, clean looks. And I think some of that is the responsibility of a Nick Boyd being brought in here. And there were a couple careless turnovers. There's a couple times I still feel like he gets a little out of control. I love him. I'm a Nick Boyd guy. But I still don't think we've seen what this offense can fully be if Nick Boyd kind of takes that next step in setting everyone else up around him.
I very much agree with you on this. We said this at the Northwestern game. I thought he was one of my guys in this category last game, and I thought there was a little more improvement in one of the things that I was talking about, the passing last time. But yeah, like he is like at an 8 and he's so close to a 10. Like if he could just ratchet things up a little bit more mentally and like making those quick decisions and looking at sometimes in the game, it's okay to be pass first. And he's never really a pass first guy. He's looking to score. And then if he can't score, he'll look for someone. I would much rather he tries to get a straight line drive and then looking the entire time, but he can the quick pop to the corner rather than trying that really tough contested layup. And so the more that happens, and hopefully that's a guard thing too. He's got to coach that with him and he's got to work on that. And I think that hopefully will improve.
T-Tem says silliness, Ryan. You'd rather have those guys shooting than him or JB. Not smart. Listen, as we always say on this show, just my take. I could be wrong, and I get that too. Like if you want Boyd taking kind of a tough layup, but at the rim, where he has the ability to get fouled, he's a good free throw shooter. I get that too.
That's the point that I would make on this is that there's a couple of reasons why I want Boyd to play more as a facilitator. Number one, I think he does put himself in some tough spots where he gets the help defense coming over and putting him in a tight spot because he's not a guy who can finish really physically at the rim. I want him to think pass first, and if nobody helps, take it to the rim. I'm fine with that. But the problem is with the way he plays, he causes a lot of guys to just stand around. And when he's being that aggressive, if he continues to take it all the time, guys are just going to kind of sit. And you need them moving consistently because if you want the best version of this team, he has to be a guy that gets other people engaged, and you have to get them going. Because as much as him and Blackwell can really be dynamic players, you're not doing anything this year without 3 other guys coming along with you. And it shows in the scoring from this team. When things are running well, we just can drop a ton of points on teams. When those guys start sitting around, then you have the second half against Northwestern where it's like, what are we doing here offensively? We were on track for probably 110 points in that game. We scored 85 because like the last 10 minutes, we scored probably 10 points of that.
All right, we're going to take a quick second here. We're going to come back, and I'm going to ask both these guys. We've played through a bit of the season now. What is the one thing you think you are wrong about this team on, and what is the one thing you think you're right about this team on? That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers, plus your comments. We already have 11 of them starred. We'll do that next on Locked On Badgers. First, a quick second for our friends of the show. As always, a quick second to say thank you for tuning in. There's 500 plus watching this right now on a Saturday. Amazing. Thank you for helping us all be part of this community, and this is our community. It's not mine. It's not Justin. It's not Rajiv's. We always say that this is our community, and I think we built it the right way. Today's episode brought to you by our great friends over at Aura Frames. The holidays are officially here, and if you struggle finding the right gift, if you don't like gift hunting season, this is the perfect thing for if you want something meaningful, personal, guaranteed to get a reaction. Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every single time. It's not just something you wrap. It's something you share. It's a memory that you help create for other people, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. You can put some photos of me on there if you want, on Rajiv and Justin. Send that out to your loved ones. What better way to share the holiday cheer than a little Badger podcast love? You can preload the frame with other videos as well. When they plug it in, the memory's already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Endless uploads and pictures through the Aura app. Add personalized messages inside the frame. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off. Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURA Frames.com. Promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners. Frames sell out. Order yours now to get them in time for the holidays. Show support by mentioning us at checkout. All right, I'm interested in this. And in the chat, I'm interested, definitely your guys' thoughts and comments as well in the comment section. What is one thing you think you got right about this team? What is one thing you got wrong? I'll start with my thing I think I got wrong. I thought this team, and full acknowledgement, this could still change. We are still early in the season, but we played enough games. I think we have a feel. I thought this team would pass the ball a little bit more, would create a little more pick and roll action side to side. I thought the offense would be a little more equal load distribution, more shooting, more Andrew Rohde in a pick and roll, more Nolan Winter from the three. And it feels like it's a little more isolation centric with Blackwell and Boyd. I think I was wrong on that.
Yeah, I feel like I was wrong. Similarly, just in that I thought offensively we would be able to play out of the post a little more with guys like Winters. Clearly, like I've said that over and over. I don't understand why we're not doing that more. And even just the guards, I think at some point, I think Biliaskis, Rapp, I thought we'd have more post play, which we just don't have. We're much more, perimeter based team. We're shooting a lot more than I even thought we would. But I feel like, and that's still something, if that improves, it really can change this team. I struggle with why we don't do that.
Yeah, I thought the interior defense on this team was going to be an absolute train wreck. I don't think it has been. I think it's far past where we expected it to be this year. The shot block numbers haven't been awful, but positionally speaking, Bialuskis, to me, is a guy who has come in and really been physical and rotated well on the interior and understood where he needs to be. He's got a ways to go yet there, but I think that's a spot where it feels like we have guys in the right place when people are attacking. And that's something we didn't always have the last couple of years. So it's nice to see them be able to kind of understand at least the big picture if they don't totally understand like the minute details of playing that interior defense as well as we'd like.
And I actually feel like that goes into one thing I feel like I got right, which was after Brad Davison got hired. I talked about how I feel like this team will be better defensively than people think they will be. I'm not saying they're good defensively, but I do think we are better defensively. Like we were giving up some of those straight line drives early in the season, and we still are a little bit, but some of that stuff is really shut down. And I feel like the defensive intensity has gotten a lot better. So I do think this team is decent defensively and not great, but as compared to last season, we were just like giving up all kinds of stuff, especially from the perimeter. That has improved, and I think Brad Davison has helped with that.
I think it's a good call. Justin, where were you right about this team?
I think we both, or all three of us, felt that they would still score, and I think it's beyond anything that we expected at this point. I didn't expect them to score this easily. They're not always efficient at it. But the way they can drop points on a team, there are very few teams in the country that can stay with them. BYU is clearly one of those teams. I would say there's probably like 4 or 5 in the entire country that can go out there and just be like, all right, we're going to go to 90 plus. What they're going to struggle with is the teams that are balanced that can both score and play defense. It's going to be Can they lock in on defense enough, and can they handle the defense of the other team?
I think handling the defense and defensive pressure from other teams is going to be a big deal for the squad
Mhm.
because as good as Blackwell is, he can struggle with really athletic wings who can cut him off. And honestly, that's where Rhodey's going to struggle too. Athletic wings are going to give Rhodey trouble because they're going to get in his grill. T-Temp, he said not missing Ryan's – I'm just taking the last part of this comment. Not missing Ryan's bromance as much. That's where I was right. Y'all miss Steven Crowell. This team misses Steven Crowell. That's where I'm dead. That's where I'm dead on. Rajiv too. But really, honestly, besides that, I think I was very on point with what Andrew Rhodey was going to be for this team. I think I said before the season, this guy's an elite passer. I think he's going to fit in like glue. He's a wing player you need. He's a veteran. He's going to do a lot of the little things. I love his game as long as he's like a 3 or a 4. He can't be your 1 or 2, but if he's your number 3 option, number 4 option, the dude fits in like a puzzle piece. I think I was right on with Andrew Rhodey. And I think he's even a tick better than I thought he would be, to be completely honest. But I love his floor game, man.
He is so low maintenance. Like he is just a guy who does whatever you need in a given game. And we saw it tonight. He dropped 17. And I was waiting for a game like this from him because I'm like, he's a better scorer than what we've seen so far. He hasn't had to, but this is the first game where you look at it and you're like, okay, that jumper finally came around a little bit and he's starting to hit some stuff.
Let me throw a couple of these quick start comments up here. We're not going to keep you guys too long. I know it's Championship Saturday. There's a lot of football going on. People have weekends, but we did get a couple start comments. I always want to kind of quickly go through these. We'll go again. Justin will give you one. Rajiv will give you one. I'll take a couple. Justin, Tyler Strieber, the ball sticks in Boyd's hands too much for my liking. You agree or disagree?
There are times. I mean, I would say you take the good with the bad with him, but there are definitely times with him where you'd like him to just get rid of the ball. He kind of bangs it into the floor too much.
Justin, the Badger and Bournemouth, we've seen some interesting Big Ten action here. Purdue lost today. He asked, who are you picking in the Big Ten? I thought he was talking about Big Ten basketball championship for later in the season. Let's go this one, though. Yeah. Ohio State, Indiana tonight. Big Ten football championship game. Who are you picking?
I'm picking Ohio State. I understand that Indiana is Indiana, and it probably means more to them because Ohio State's after the bigger prize. I think they both after the bigger prize, and this game isn't massive, but I mean, I just feel like Ohio State's better than Indiana, and I think that all they have to do is turn it up a little notch, and they're going to – I think they win by 10 plus.
Justin, who you got in this one? This is a good question for all of us.
I'm going to go with the upset here. I think – and I say that because I actually think that – Mendoza's actually the better quarterback out of the two. It'll be interesting to see how Ohio State reacts to seeing a team that I can really kind of hang with them. This isn't like playing Michigan. I think offensively, you get some things out of Indiana that you probably, if you're Ohio State, it might make you uncomfortable a little bit because the kind of big equalizer in this one is you have a quarterback who legitimately can make throws that you can play perfect defense on, and it doesn't matter.
Is the line 5? Is that where it was at?
4.5, I believe. Okay. Yeah.
So I did take Indiana to cover. I just think it means more to them, to be completely frank. Ohio State's coming off a national title. This is Indiana's biggest game in program history. I mean, I don't even.
Yeah, no, that's probably accurate. It's program history.
I just think it might mean a little bit more to Indiana. Ohio State's great. Indiana hasn't played defense like Ohio State.
Never underestimate like the fact that Indiana's never really done this, and a team like Ohio State knows how to win games like this. And I just think that matters.
That's fair. No, that's very fair. Like, in Ohio State's, I think if this was a playoff semifinal game, I would take Ohio State.
Yeah.
In this moment, I might take Indiana. Let me grab this basketball comment here. There's a comment about the lineup change. Larry says, I'll say this again, this team is noticeably better since the lineup change. The one thing I said about this the other day that I really like about this is Rapp coming off the bench. If he can start to shoot really well, gives you bench scoring. I don't think Bialuskas is wired quite the same way to potentially come in and hit like 4 threes, which I think Rapp can
absolutely
do.
not.
So I kind of like it in that sense. And I think Beals is a little more rugged inside and a little better rebounder, which I think fits better with Blackwell, Boyd, and Winter. I just think it's a better fit for both of them. I think it's win-win. So I agree with this. I like this. Go ahead, Justin.
I was going to say, I actually really like Winter and him together because you have Winter who's got a little bit more mobility and you have Bialuskas who's got more physicality in there. It's a nice starting lineup to have that kind of versatility with those two.
As Mark Benson says, as much as I hope it's Indiana, it's probably got to be OSU. I think we're all cheering for Indiana here, right? Why would you cheer for this? Why would you cheer for the team that always wins and spends the most money?
I'm not cheering for Indiana, period, ever. It's never.
What about Purdue? If Purdue gets in, cheer for them.
Neither. Those two teams could just fall off the face of the
I've
planet.
never seen somebody have such hatred for their home state team.
Because I was never a fan of that. I was an Iowa fan growing up, right? Like I hated them since I moved
I was going to
there.
say, Rajiv's dad goes to Iowa. He's like got the entire Big Ten blueprint.
All right, let's wrap this up. As always, appreciate you guys. Last question here. I think this is a good one. We can kind of take our turn on this one. And Mitch agrees with you, Rajiv, by the way. Yes, Rajiv. He's also cheering for Ohio State, which is like cheering for the Sith. I don't understand it. But Badger Bournemouth, what is AB's ceiling going forward? So I actually think his ceiling isn't. I don't want to put limits on anybody, and everybody can surprise and everybody can grow. Nobody thought John Tanje's ceiling before last year would have been what he became, right? So I think athletically, Bialuskis is always going to have some limitations. He's not going to guard really well on the perimeter. He's not explosive vertically. I think his ceiling is kind of growing into some type of version of like a less athletic, but a similar type of a Keaton Nankiville type of guy. 13 and 10.
What do you think about him being like a Golden from?
He doesn't move as well as Golden. I don't think he moves as well as Golden.
Okay.
But really solid player. I think he's a higher floor player than a high ceiling player.
I would agree with that. I think that you're right. Athletically, he's never going to be anything to write home about. But I think as a freshman with multiple years to grow, he will get technically better. And like as far as making smart decisions with the ball, being able to play in the post, learning better post moves, like using his body better, like he will be able to do things that are really going to benefit us for several years. So I agree, like not anything. His athletic ceiling is not that high, but his like game mentality and his ability to influence games, both offensively and defensively, I think will grow quite a bit.
Skylar Stiemsma, he's already more advanced offensively than Stiemsma ever was at Wisconsin. Defensively, he's not in that stratosphere yet. Like if he gets to that point defensively, Wisconsin's going to be in a really good spot having somebody that's that good at guarding the rim. And that's a guy that put together an NBA career just on his ability to defend.
Yeah, I agree. All right, gentlemen, appreciate you guys. Any last thought from this game that we didn't hit on before we head up for our Saturday here?
Just nice to see a good win over a rival. Like that's nice to see. And you were going to play bad teams. You got to beat the bad teams, which is exactly what happened today. Gain some momentum, continue to grow. The synergy between Boyd and Blackwell, it's getting better. If that continues, the ceiling grows.
Yeah, to me, I love seeing my team have a whole 96 points.
Yeah. Badger Bournemouth says, love the hat, Justin. Yeah, for me, very much what Rajiv said. You got to win against bad teams, good teams, and everything in between. And a 20-point win against a rival, even if they're scuffling, don't ever overlook that. Don't ever overlook that.
Don't give them confidence.
Winning is hard. And I know sometimes we come on this show and we nitpick and I nitpick and it's like transition defense and Boyd had 4 turnovers. But dude, you blasted an in-state rival by 20. Let's go. Let's just have some fun with that, right? This team will get better. They need to get better. I think they will get better because I do believe in Greg Gard. But man, they dropped 96 on Marquette. It felt easy. And I think let's enjoy that moment. On Wisconsin, appreciate you guys so much. He is Justin. He's Rajiv. As always, go check out what they're doing on the Bucket Report. We will definitely talk later on Wisconsin, and enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys.